Margaret was 72 years old when she realized she was starting to withdraw from the world. It started with the small things, avoiding the late-night drive home from her daughter's house because the headlights felt like shattered glass against her eyes. Then it was the menus in restaurants which seemed to get blurrier every month. She told herself what we all tell ourselves: it's just part of the journey. This is what getting older feels like. But one evening, almost by accident, Margaret started a simple habit. She began eating a specific humble fruit about an hour before tucking herself in. She wasn't looking for a miracle, she just wanted a light snack that wouldn't upset her stomach. 10 days later, something happened that made her stop in her tracks. She was sitting in her sunroom, and for the first time in 3 years, she could see the individual needles on the pine tree across the yard. Many people believe that once our vision or our vitality starts to slip, the door is closed. But what Margaret's experience shows us is that sometimes the body isn't failing. It's just waiting for a very specific kind of fuel to finish its nighttime chores. And the connection between what we eat at 8 p.m. and how we see at 8 a.m. is much more powerful than most of us were ever told. If you've ever felt that pang of worry when you realize you can't see the thread to needle it, or if you've noticed your legs feel a bit heavier when you climb the stairs at night, I want you to know something important. You are not alone. In my years of exploring how our bodies age, I've spoken to thousands of Americans over 60 who feel like they're losing their edge. There's a quiet fear that comes with it, a fear that we're becoming spectators in our own lives. But the science of the human body is surprisingly hopeful. Researchers have been exploring how our bodies perform a nightly audit. While we sleep, our systems don't just shut down, they go into a deep repair mode. For those of us over 50, our repair crew just needs a little more support than it used to. Some studies suggest that certain natural compounds can actually support the delicate tissues in our eyes and the nerves in our extremities during this critical window. We're going to talk today about why Margaret's simple snack made such a difference. Not through some secret cure, but through basic, beautiful biology that many doctors are only now beginning to highlight. Have you ever noticed that your symptoms, whether it's blurry vision, a bit of brain fog, or even a dull ache in your joints, seem to be at their peak right when you wake up or right before you go to bed? There's a reason for that. During the day, our bodies are in survival mode. We're moving, we're processing light, we're burning energy. But the moment the sun goes down, the body tries to shift into restoration mode. For many seniors, this shift is where the clog happens. Think of your circulation like a small stream. In our 20s, that stream is rushing, clear, and strong. It carries nutrients to the furthest reaches of the body, the tiny capillaries in our eyes and the nerves in our toes, without any effort. But as the years pass, that stream can slow down. A bit of silt builds up. This is what we often call inflammation or poor circulation. Margaret's eyes weren't necessarily broken. They were thirsty. She didn't know it, but when she reached for that kiwi, she was providing her body with two of the rarest and most essential eye-shielding nutrients known to nature. But here's the strange part. It wasn't just about her eyes. Inside a kiwi, and specifically when eaten in the evening, are two compounds called lutein and zeaxanthin. I know, those are long names. You can just think of them as internal sunglasses. These nutrients are naturally found in the macula, the part of your eye responsible for your central, sharp vision. Their job is to filter out blue light and protect the delicate cells from oxidative stress. The problem is, our bodies cannot make lutein or zeaxanthin on their own. We have to invite them in through our food. And as we get older, our storage of these nutrients starts to run low. When Margaret ate that fruit before bed, she was giving her eyes a fresh supply of shielding right before she closed her eyes for 8 hours. This is the time when the eye does its most intense cellular turnover. What surprised many researchers was that the timing mattered. If you eat these nutrients in the morning, your body uses them to fight the stress of the day. But when you eat them at night, they act like an overnight beauty rest for your retinas. But wait, there's something even more interesting about why Margaret felt so much better the next day. It wasn't just her vision. She noticed she was waking up without that morning stiffness in her hands. How could a fruit for the eyes help the hands? Many people over 60 quietly experience a feeling of puffiness or heaviness in the mornings. You might notice it when you try to make your first cup of coffee or when you take those first few steps toward the bathroom. This is often systemic inflammation. Now, inflammation sounds like a scary medical word, but it's really just your body's way of saying, I'm trying to fix something, but I'm overwhelmed. Kiwis are one of the most concentrated sources of vitamin C and vitamin E in the world, even more than oranges. But they also contain a unique enzyme called actinidin. This enzyme helps your body break down proteins more efficiently. If you've ever had a heavy dinner, maybe a piece of chicken or beef, and felt weighted down for hours afterward, that's because your digestion is using up all your energy. By eating this fruit before bed, Margaret was helping her digestion clear the deck. When your digestion is calm, your circulation can focus on other things, like flushing out the toxins in your joints and delivering oxygen to your brain. Most people never connect their evening snack to the way their knees feel the next morning, but for Margaret, the connection was becoming impossible to ignore. And then came the restless leg discovery. If you've ever laid in bed and felt that strange, crawling sensation in your legs, that urge to move that just won't go away, you know how frustrating it is. It steals your sleep and leaves you feeling drained the next day. Some viewers may recognize this feeling immediately. Margaret's husband, Bill, actually started joining her in her evening fruit ritual. Bill didn't care much about his eyesight. He said he'd seen enough for one lifetime. But he did care about the fact that he was waking up 4 times a night because his legs felt fizzy. What many people don't realize is that kiwi is a natural source of potassium and magnesium, the 2 minerals that act like volume knobs for our nervous system. When those levels are low, the nerves in our legs start shouting. By adding this simple habit, Bill found that the shouting turned into a whisper. This is where things become really interesting. When we support one part of the body, the eyes, we often accidentally support the whole system. But I have to tell you about the mistake Margaret almost made. It's a mistake many of us make when we try to be healthy. Margaret thought, well, if kiwi is good, maybe I should just buy a bottle of fruit juice or a supplement. But here's the secret that the big health companies don't always mention. The fiber and the skin of the fruit are where the real magic happens for seniors. When you drink juice, the sugar hits your bloodstream like a freight train. For those of us over 60, our bodies don't handle those sugar spikes as well as they used to. It can actually cause more inflammation and make your vision fuzzier in the short term. Margaret stuck to the whole fruit. She even, and this might sound strange, started eating the fuzz. Now, you don't have to eat the skin if you don't want to, but Margaret found that by washing the kiwi and eating it like an apple, she was getting triple the fiber. That fiber acted like a slow-release capsule. It meant those antioxidants, the ones her eyes were drinking, were being delivered steadily all through the night rather than all at once. Why has nobody explained this before? Margaret asked her daughter. The truth is, simple solutions don't make much money. A fruit from the grocery store is much cheaper than a complex prescription or a high-tech gadget. But sometimes the simplest things are the most profound. Now, in just a minute, I'm going to show you exactly how to prepare this bedtime ritual to get the maximum benefit for your eyes and your circulation. There's a specific pairing Margaret used that made it even more effective. But first, I want to ask you a question. Do you remember a time when you didn't have to think about your health every single day? Maybe it was 10 years ago, maybe 20. I want you to hold on to that feeling, because the goal of these small habits isn't just to live longer, it's to live better. It's to make sure that the years we have are filled with color, clarity, and the ability to go for a walk without fear. If this is resonating with you, if you felt that fade and you're ready to try a more gentle path, would you leave a comment below? Just say, I'm choosing hope. It helps me know that I'm talking to people who still believe that their best days aren't necessarily behind them. If you want to try what Margaret did, here is how you can start tonight. First, look for the gold kiwis if you can find them. They are a bit smoother and sweeter, and they have even more vitamin C. If you can't find them, the classic green ones are perfectly fine. About 60 to 90 minutes before bed, slice 2 kiwis. Margaret found that pairing them with a small handful of walnuts, just 3 or 4, made a world of difference. Why walnuts? Walnuts are rich in omega-3 fatty acids. Your eyes need those healthy fats to actually absorb the lutein from the fruit. Without a little bit of healthy fat, those internal sunglasses we talked about might just pass right through your system without stopping to help. This combination, the green and the nut, creates a perfect environment for your nerves to settle and your eyes to recover. As you eat this, try to do one more thing for yourself. Dim the lights. Many people over 60 are light sensitive without realizing it. By eating your nighttime snack in a softly lit room, you are telling your brain to start producing melatonin, the hormone that tells every cell in your body, the repair crew can start now. The real change for Margaret wasn't just a clinical improvement. It was the morning she realized she didn't need to ask her husband to read the expiration date on the milk. It was the afternoon she felt confident enough to get back behind the wheel and drive to her favorite craft store, even though the sky was a bit overcast. When our world stops shrinking, our spirit starts growing. Many people think it's too late to make a change. They think the damage is done. But the body is remarkably forgiving. Think of a wilted plant. If you give it just a little bit of water and the right light, it doesn't just stay alive. It reaches, it unfolds, it turns back toward the sun. You are no different. Your eyes, your heart, your nerves, they are all part of a living system that responds to kindness. And a piece of fruit before bed is one of the kindest things you can do for that system. I know some of you might be worried about things like blood sugar. If you're managing a condition like diabetes, you might think fruit is off limits. This is where the type of fruit matters so much. The kiwi is surprisingly low on the glycemic index. Because of all that fiber we talked about, the natural sugars enter your system slowly and gently. Of course, you should always listen to your own body and check with your healthcare provider if you have concerns. But for the vast majority of seniors, this is a much safer evening snack than a bowl of cereal or a piece of toast. It's about choosing functional foods, foods that have a job to do. The kiwi's job is to protect your sight and calm your nerves. The walnut's job is to build the bridge. Your job is simply to give it a try. We focus so much on eyesight, but what we're really talking about is vision. The vision to see the beauty that is still all around us. The vision to see the expressions on our grandchildren's faces. The vision to stay independent and free. The body often gives quiet warning signs first. A little blurriness, a little stiffness. These aren't just symptoms. They are invitations. They are your body asking you to change the conversation. Margaret listened to the invitation, and she found that the slow fade wasn't an inevitable ending. It was just a chapter that she had the power to edit. Few people realize this small daily habit matters so much, but now you are one of the people who knows. And once you know, you can't unknow the power you have over your own well-being. I want to thank you for spending this time with me today. It's a privilege to share these stories with you. If you feel like this message of hope is something a friend or a sibling needs to hear, please consider sharing it with them. We spend so much of our time talking about what's going wrong as we age. Let's start a different conversation about what can go right. If you'd like to keep learning about these gentle, natural ways to support your body, I'd love for you to join our community here. You can click the subscribe button and the little bell so we can keep walking this path together. Small daily habits may matter more than most people realize. The body often responds gently when we begin treating it gently. Many people think it's too late, but your body still has ways of adapting that might just surprise you. Try Margaret's ritual tonight. 2 kiwis, a couple of walnuts, and a quiet room. I'd love to hear how you feel when you wake up. Until next time, keep looking for the beauty in the details. They're clearer than you think. But the real problem may begin much earlier than the moment you notice the blurriness. It actually starts in the way our bodies process waste during the night. In a few moments, I'll show you how this fruit acts like a nightly janitor for your brain and eyes. If you've felt the world getting a little smaller lately, I want you to remember Margaret. She didn't find a fountain of youth. She just found a way to listen to what her body was asking for. You can do the same. If you're ready to choose hope over fear, join us. Let's see what tomorrow looks like together. The world hasn't lost its color. Sometimes our windows just need a little bit of help from the inside out.